How do I get my kid to have a better attitude about things? People ask me this all the time. And that's not actually the question they should be asking. And I'll tell you why in a second. But I understand it's frustrating. Your kid is not wanting to do anything. They roll their eyes, they collapse on the floor. They don't want to. They don't want to go somewhere. They don't want to do their job. They don't want to do their homework. They don't want to have to. And there's a certain age where this gets more and more exaggerated, isn't there? And you are just so frustrated because what do you do with this kid? There's conflict every day. There's this constant push-pull between this child's bad attitude and your desire to help them just learn how to do things. And right now it's creating conflict in your house. And then there are all of the what ifs. Like, what if they're always this way? What if they're always just not going to rise to the occasion? What if they're always not going to do it? What if they're always doing it halfway? What if they're always being lazy about it? What if they're always lying on the floor and rolling their eyes? What if they're 35 and living in your basement and they can't hold down a steady job and they don't have a partner, or they've lost partners because they don't do things with a good attitude? That's a lot of what ifs. Now, here's the thing. Your kid's attitude is not the problem. It's the story that you're telling yourself about your kid's attitude. That's actually the problem, because your kid is allowed to not want to. They are allowed to roll their eyes. They're allowed to be angry because they have to do a chore that they don't like and they have to do it every day and it feels oppressive to them. They feel like they don't get any choices. They're allowed to have that feeling. And if you weren't telling yourself that this feeling is bad, if you weren't telling yourself the story that you have to fix your child's feeling, you would suddenly find that your child's feeling is way less of a burden than it feels like right now. Sure, it would feel better if they were cheerful, if they had a great attitude, if they got up and said, "Sure, Mommy, I'll do that for you." But it is not their job to make you feel good about them having to do something. How you feel about them and their job and their feelings is not their job. That's your job. And you can fix that feeling just by letting go of that story and letting go of the fear. And it is a low-grade fear about what this means for your kid's future. First of all, they're a child. Their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed yet. They don't yet have the skills that they need to have to be able to handle that kind of long-term thinking and decision making, but they will. The question you need to be asking is not, how do I help my kid have a better attitude? You can stop that. You can stop worrying about your kid having a better attitude. The question you need to ask is, how do I help my child do something even when they're not feeling it? How do I help them get up and do the hard thing anyway, even when they don't want to? Isn't that the actual skill that they need to build in themselves? Don't you need to do that? Don't you need to get up and do something even if you don't want to? Don't you need to go to work even on days when you don't feel like it? Isn't that the skill that you should be giving to your child? What if instead of trying to fix their attitude and trying to coax them out of a feeling that feels negative to you, trying to move them toward being happy for the sake of peace and lack of conflict. What if instead you validated their feeling and said, yeah, sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do. I totally get that you don't want to do it today. That's okay. I get that you're angry that this is your job every single morning before you get on the bus. I have a 10-year-old who was like that for 3 straight months. He still had to do his job, but I didn't try and make him happy about it. He's okay to have his big feelings, his anger, his frustration over having this job that he has to do. And I'm okay with his big feelings because I'm not scared of them. I am not worried that he's having big feelings. He's 10. And I'm not telling myself a story about that anger and those big feelings that is making me afraid for his future, for our family situation right now. I am just allowing him to have his feeling. And I know that he's 10 and he will grow out of it. And I know that I have the tools to help him grow out of that. And I know that right now my job is not to coax him out of being angry about his chores. My job is to help him learn the skill of dealing with that anger, to help him learn the skill of being angry and disgruntled about having to do this thing and doing it anyway. Learning to get up and follow through even when you don't feel excited and inspired, because that's what real life is. That's the skill he needs when he's 20 and at his first job. That's the skill he needs when he's 30 and his relationship is going through a rough patch. That emotional strength is what he needs to succeed in life. Not to have a good attitude, but to be able to do what's needed and handle the bad attitude. Not to rush him through it, not to force him to feel something else, not to make him perform cheerfulness because it makes me feel better, but the skill of knowing what to do with that feeling, knowing how to work through that feeling, to feel that feeling and make healthy choices well in that feeling. There are a lot of grown-ups that don't know how to do that. This is something that we can give to our kids. Your kid's bad attitude is an opportunity to teach them strength and growth, confidence, and courage. This is what we actually want in our families, in our homes. We want the ability to allow everyone to have what feelings they have and know that it's not the end of connection. It's not a danger to the relationship that you're angry right now, or you don't want to, or you're frustrated. The connection can continue, and the emotional strength can be built, and it's built through allowing those things and building the skills to handle those things. Starting next Monday, I am hosting a 4-day parent challenge that is about this. It's about building emotional strength in your children in a very complicated world. It's about how to examine the story in your own head, the story that your child is taking with them into the world, and how to, on purpose, adjust that story, that narrative, so that you adjust their experience, adjust their confidence level, adjust their capacity for courage and compassion. It's 30 minutes each morning, live on Zoom. There are replays if you can't make it live, but in the live, you can ask me real questions about your real kids, and we'll talk about those real possibilities and solutions. I am going to give you simple and actionable ways, like things you can do right after the call that day without a whole lot of prep or work, that can start to reset your story, reset your narrative, your whole family's story in their head, that makes things feel like an emergency when they aren't, and that makes things feel hard when they aren't, and reset that towards confidence and we can handle this as a family. It's going to help you build skills that will, in your children, that are going to help them in all their future relationships, in all the future situations they're going to find themselves. That first job, that third job, those friends, those social situations, their marriage, if they get married, to build the core skills now of emotional strength and the confidence and courage to encounter their world and be good people in it, which is what you really want for this kid with a bad attitude. Right now, you hope they turn out to be a good person in the end, a person who can be relied on, who is trustworthy, whose family and friends know that they can count on them. So if that is something that you would like to learn more about building in your family and giving to your children on purpose, then please click the link below and check out the challenge page. And I hope to see you inside.